At this time last year, I weighed about 115 kilograms with about 30% body fat. 4 months later, I dropped down to 95 kilograms with about 12% body fat. I lost half my body fat percentage by doing 5 simple things. Until today, I still maintain a lean muscular physique because I still do these 5 things. If you're somebody that's starting your weight loss journey or you're already on your weight loss journey, pay attention and watch till the end because you're gonna need this information. I'm gonna break down the 5 easy things that I did that got me to lose half my body fat percentage in just 4 months. So the first thing that I did was I ate the same thing every day. Most of you already know that in order to lose fat, you need to be in a caloric deficit. And the reason this method works so well is because it takes away the guesswork when tracking your calories. So what I did was I figured out what my daily caloric maintenance was. And when I got the number, I put together about 5 or 6 dishes that I enjoy that's below my daily caloric maintenance. And I just cycled around these dishes on a day-to-day basis. That way I was able to eat at a caloric deficit without having to calculate how much calories are in my food every time I make a new dish. This method simplified the whole process of eating in a caloric deficit. And because of this, I was able to stay on track with my diet and lose weight consistently. Simplicity is the key to the game. Most people fail on their weight loss journey because they complicate the process too much. When you constantly have to figure out what foods to eat and how many calories are in the foods that you prepare on a daily basis, it gives you mental fatigue, and that's why most people end up quitting on their weight loss journey. Personally, I operate best when things are as simple as possible, so I made sure to do that when it comes to my diet. I tried the method of coming up with new dishes every day and tracking the calories on the new dishes every day, but that didn't work. It wasn't until I put together about 5 or 6 dishes that I enjoy and I knew how many calories they contained that I started to lose weight consistently, and I got to my desired body fat percentage as quickly as possible. So if you want to lose weight as quickly as possible, I would advise that you simplify the process as much as you can. Pick about 5 or 6 dishes that you enjoy. It's important that you enjoy these dishes because you're going to be eating them every day. So pick about 5 or 6 dishes that you enjoy and you know how many calories are in these dishes and the portion sizes of these dishes that you need to eat on a daily basis, and just eat them on a daily basis. You can have one cheat meal every week, so one day out of the week you can eat whatever you want to eat, but make sure most of the days of the week you're eating these same dishes and you're going to be on track to losing weight as quickly as possible. Second thing I did was I ate high protein in every meal. Protein is a great tool for fat loss. If you want to lose fat as quickly as possible, protein is your go-to food source. The reason I say this is because protein is very satiating. Protein keeps you full. And most foods that are high in protein have low calories. So it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're eating foods that are low in calories but are gonna keep you full. What I did personally on my weight loss journey was every food that I had, I made sure that at least 60% of the food was protein and 40% was everything else. So instead of eating rice with chicken and the rice is more than the chicken, I made sure that the chicken or the beef was more than the rice. What most people do when they eat is they tend to eat more carbs or fats than the protein, especially people from African or Caribbean households, because most of our dishes are usually high in carbs. So we eat carbs and then we eat a little bit of protein to go with the carbs. So what I did was I had to make a switch on most of my dishes. Instead of eating the carbs with the protein, I ate the protein with the carbs. And this gave me tremendous results and very quick results when it comes to weight loss. And the good thing about eating a lot of protein is protein preserves your muscle. So if you're losing weight and you have a high protein diet, you're going to preserve your muscle, and that's what's going to give you that lean muscular physique. That's what's going to give your body an aesthetic shape. If you're losing weight and you're not eating enough protein, you're going to lose muscle as well as the fat, and then you end up looking skinny fat. So in order to avoid this, you want to make sure that you have a high protein diet. The third thing I did was I started to do zone 2 cardio 5 days a week. Zone 2 cardio is the kind of cardio that you do at a steady pace. So it's not running, it's not sprinting, it's not jogging, it's not skipping, it's not burpees. All you gotta do is walk on the treadmill at a steady pace. What I do personally is I go on the treadmill and I put the treadmill on an incline, usually 15, that's the highest incline in most treadmills. And I put the speed at around 3 or 2, depending on my heart rate. And I just walk on the treadmill for about 30 minutes. This was a game changer for me when it comes to weight loss. I used to do a lot of high intensity cardio. I used to do a lot of sprinting. I used to do a lot of skipping and burpees and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't start to lose as much fat as I did when I started to do zone 2 cardio frequently. When you do zone 2 cardio, you burn fat directly for energy. So instead of burning carbs or glucose as you do when you do HIIT cardio, you burn fat for energy when you do zone 2 cardio. So your body's tapping directly from your fat storage as an energy source when you do zone 2 cardio. Another reason zone 2 cardio is very good for fat loss is because you can do zone 2 cardio on a daily basis and you won't feel any wear and tear on your body. When you do a lot of HIIT cardio like skipping and running, your joints or your muscles tend to suffer a lot. So you're either going to develop pains on your joints or you're going to develop pains on your muscles. So it's not very sustainable. You also get very hungry after a session of HIIT cardio. So your hunger is going to increase, and most of the time you're going to end up consuming back the calories that you burned in the first place. So zone 2 cardio is what will get you to burn fat on a consistent basis. And you can do it 5, 6, even 7 days a week and you won't feel any impact on your joints or your muscles. You can do zone 2 cardio on a treadmill like I explained earlier, or you can do it on a cycle, you can do it on a Stairmaster, whichever one you prefer. When you do zone 2 cardio, you want to track your heart rate, because the way you know that you're in zone 2 is by your heart rate. So for most adults, your heart rate is going to be around 130 to 135 when you're doing zone 2 cardio. You can track this on your Apple Watch. All you got to look out for is your BPM, that's your heart rate. And by that number, you can gauge if you're in zone 2 cardio or if you're exceeding zone 2 cardio. Usually when you go over 140 to 150, then you're going away from zone 2 cardio and you're getting in the zone of zone 3 cardio. You don't want to be going over zone 2 cardio, because then you start to burn carbs for energy as opposed to fat that you burn when you do zone 2 cardio. So start doing zone 2 cardio and your body is going to be melting fat as quickly as possible. The fourth thing I did was I started to lift for strength. What I mean by this is, instead of going to the gym to build muscle intentionally, I went to the gym to increase my strength. And I did this by focusing on compound exercises. Exercises like bench press, squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, and dips. This way I was able to build multiple muscle groups at the same time. And because of that, not only did I build muscle at a quicker rate, I also burned fat at a quicker rate, because muscle and fat do not coexist. Most people think that in order to build a lot of muscle, you need to train like a bodybuilder. But for most people, especially if you're natural, you're not going to build the most amount of muscle that your body can build if you train like a bodybuilder. What you want to do is focus on building your strength on compound exercises. And that's going to get you to build more muscle. Because when you really think about it, muscle is really just stored strength. So if you increase your strength on compound exercises, you're going to increase your muscle size by default. And the more muscle you have on your frame, the more fat your body tends to burn, because your metabolism increases when you have a lot of muscle. So you tend to burn more calories than usual. I've been lifting weights for about 10 years now, and I must say I've seen a huge difference in the way that my physique looks once I started training for strength as opposed to training to build muscle. I've been able to build lean, long-lasting, functional muscle and burn fat at a quicker rate now that I've started training for strength. So when you go to the gym, focus on compound exercises. That's what's going to get you to build as much muscle as possible at a short time as well, because you spend less time in the gym when you do compound exercises. When you focus on doing isolatory exercises, because you have to target every muscle group individually, you tend to spend more time in the gym, and the intensity of your workout tends to dwindle away when you go past the 1 hour mark anyway. So train for strength and you're going to be building more muscle quickly, and you're going to be losing fat quickly as well. The last thing I started doing was I started to track my sleep. Sleep is the most important thing you can do when it comes to losing fat. The reason for this is because you produce growth hormones and testosterone, and for women, you produce estrogen when you sleep. So in order for your body to burn fat as quickly as possible, you need to get as much sleep as you can get. Ideally, you should get around 7 hours or 8 hours of sleep every night. And the best way to ensure that you get as much sleep as you can get every night is by tracking your sleep. Prior to the time I started to lose weight quickly, I didn't need to track my sleep. I would just guess how much sleep I'm getting every night. And it wasn't until I started to track my sleep on a daily basis that my body started to respond to the training and the diet. The more sleep I got, the more in shape I looked. When you don't sleep enough, there's so much things that go wrong in your system that makes it hard for you to get rid of fat. Your cortisol increases, so your body holds onto fat and it doesn't let go of fat as easy as it should. You also feel hungrier when you don't get enough sleep the night before, so you're going to be consuming more calories, and that's bad for fat loss. Your testosterone also reduces when you don't get enough sleep, and that's bad for muscle gaining. And like we established earlier, the more muscle you have, the less fat you have. So in order to avoid all these things, you want to make sure that you get as much sleep as you can get every night. I started to plan for my sleep, and that's when I started to get a good amount of sleep every night. What I started to do was 3 hours before my bedtime, I'd make sure that I don't eat anything. So I'd have my last meal at least 3 hours before my bedtime. The reason for this is because when your body is digesting food, your body doesn't rest appropriately. So you don't get that deep REM sleep when you have a lot of food in your system whilst you're sleeping. Another thing I did was 2 hours before my bedtime, I make sure that I don't drink any water or any liquids, because when you have liquids in your system, you're gonna tend to wake up to go use the toilet in the middle of the night, and that's gonna interrupt your sleep. Personally, when I wake up in the middle of the night and I try to go back to bed, it's usually difficult for me to fall back asleep. So I tend to lose at least an hour of sleep just by getting up to go use the toilet. So in order to avoid this, I make sure that I do not drink any water or any liquid at least 2 hours before my bedtime. And then lastly, an hour before my bedtime, I make sure I turn off all my devices, my phones, my laptop, my TV. The reason I do this is because I want to protect my eyes from blue light rays. The blue light rays that come out of these devices tend to keep your brain awake. Your brain has the same response to blue light rays as it does to the sunlight. If you notice, when you wake up in the morning and you look at the sun, it tends to wake you up. That's the same thing that happens when you look at your phone. When you look at your phone just before your bedtime, your brain is gonna be awake. So it's gonna be harder for you to fall asleep because your brain is still trying to stay awake because of the blue light rays exposure. So put away your devices at least an hour before your bedtime. Make sure the room is dark, make sure the room is cool so you can get as much sleep as you can get throughout the night. If you do these things, you're gonna be losing fat as quickly as possible. I'm gonna make it my priority that you get to your dream physique as quickly as possible. This way you don't have to do any thinking. All you gotta do is follow the plan that I'm gonna make for you to lose fat as quickly as possible. I hope you got some valuable information from this video. Give the video a thumbs up if you did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to ask me for advice in the comment section. I'm always available to give advice. Share the video to anyone that needs this information. Subscribe to get updates on the channel. Watch one of these videos for more fitness advice, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.